Today I'm here with Younane from Retail Prodigy Group. Retail Prodigy Group is an Australian-based company that has global licenses with major retailers, including Nike, which explains why I'm wearing this sweatshirt today. Also Tom's and Timbuktu. Under Retail Prodigy Group, there's 52 retail stores trading with over 700 employees here in Australia and New Zealand. Stephen, can you describe the feeling of what it's like to shut down 52 stores in one day and tell 700 people not to come back to work?
You know, that decision to close 52 stores was probably the biggest decision I've had to make, in my career. I guess with a retail portfolio, we were one of the very last retailers still standing on around March 30th, and on April 1st we decided to close our stores, and it was really a surreal experience. And because to think about your whole portfolio going dark, it was just a crazy time, and just didn't know what to expect. Now, fortunately, we were able to not stand down our employees, because I think for RPG, what's most important to us is our people and our culture. So we were able to keep our team members on about 3.5 days a week, 70% of salary for the first 4 weeks, and then we went to 3 days a week. That was really received well by our team members, but I've got to tell you, without the JobKeeper program, that would have been a very hard hit to take, to continue to pay our employees through that period.
Do you think stores are going to stay the way they are, or will online replace retail stores?
So in terms of the future of bricks and mortar versus online, I think what this period has done for many retailers and for many brands, it's almost accelerated or accentuated this thing about the consolidation of bricks and mortar to make way for more online growth. I think we saw just extraordinary online trading for many retailers and many brands whilst their stores were closed. So I think what this has done is essentially, I think it's going to fast track the consolidation of bricks and mortar stores and an acceleration of growth in the online space. We certainly found that in a small way with Tom's, where we have an online business. Now with Nike, we don't have an online business ourselves. We just essentially went through a customer order process, trying to fulfil some local demand through our database. But I think that there's no doubt this period has been a disruptor, but I think more so an accelerant. It's almost like throwing fuel on the fire. I think it's an accelerant to this consolidation of bricks and mortar.
Would you still expand your retail network into 2020 and 2021?
Yes, we strongly believe in bricks and mortar stores.
And will that ever be replaced by online?
No, not entirely. I think we will continue to try and find the best ways to integrate the online and the digital stores, the online and the physical stores through the most seamless way we can possibly do that. But I always think there's going to be room for bricks and mortar stores, and I always think there's going to be room for an online business, and I think it's just how you balance those two. So we're going to continue to look to open stores. We're always looking for new brands, and we're in the process at the moment of talking to a couple of other brands. But no, look, I don't think bricks and mortar is over. I just think that this is essentially really got retailers with the microscope on their bricks and mortar stores. The relationship between the tenant and the landlord has been really tested through this period, like no other relationship. And it's been a really interesting process that we've been through, because I think at the heart of all this is trust in this relationship between the landlord and tenant. In some cases, I felt like there was a standoff where no one wanted to engage and talk. But on the other hand, we had landlords that were very proactive, very supportive. Even before the Code of Conduct came out, we had landlords offering support. So I guess we've experienced it all. In some respects, I think it's unfortunate that we needed the Code of Conduct, because in the end, we're partners. It's in the best interest for both parties for us to be successful as retailers. But I'm glad that the Code of Conduct did come in, because it at least created some leasing principles that enabled the conversation to get started.
Stephen, you've recently opened a store at Melbourne Central, 670 square meters over 2 levels, and have reported a sales growth of over 30%. What does that mean for the future of bricks and mortars? Are stores getting bigger, smaller, or are there being more of them?
I think the future for bricks and mortar stores, as it relates to our flagship store in the city here of Melbourne, is that I think for physical stores to exist, they've got to have a reason for being. And the more experience you can provide the customer, I guess enables you to engage with your customer in a very tactile way, a very personal way. And it's an experience you just can't get online. And so if you look at our store in Melbourne Central, you know, we've got Australia's very first Nike by You, which is the ability to be able to customise product, whether it's footwear or apparel, personalised product. And that's been received extremely well by our customers. And I think that innovation is going to be critical in this space of creating customer experiences that are meaningful for your customer. Whilst our stores have been closed, we've been able to connect with our customers through our database. We're fortunate to have a very large and loyal customer database. And what we were able to do during this period is that we were communicating to our customers via EDMs. And those customers that still wanted to order from us, we were taking orders from them, whether that be via phone, via online. And we were quite surprised actually about how many customers opted into still wanting to engage with us, still wanting to access the product. And I'm just fortunate, you know, we had a crew of people across a number of stores across the country that worked behind the scenes, picking, packing and shipping product to our customers. Yeah, I would say that for RPG, I found this period just fascinating. You know, we have a number of values that essentially underpin the culture of RPG. One of those values is innovation. But if I was to be completely honest, I'd say that it's been a value that's been underrepresented in our values. It's interesting when a business goes through a crisis that you start to see the best in your people. And what I saw a lot of was innovation, ideas, creativity. And it's almost like how do we continue to sort of stimulate creativity within our organisation without there having to be another COVID, another crisis? Because I'm so proud of the team, you know, and one of those things is in the area of, you know, customer engagement. You know, how did we stay in touch with our customers through this period, and the high levels of engagement we did get in return. The engagement with our team members, you know, through this whole period, you know, we provided online learning for our team members that have been, you know, just working from home. And that's a challenge when you're running a store. If you don't have a physical store to rock up to each day, how do you keep those team members engaged? You know, our learning and development team did a great job in keeping our teams engaged and learning and developing through this period. So I think for me, the biggest insight from an internal culture perspective is this amplification of innovation that, you know, I think had probably been lacking for many, many years. So inventory management's been important. The relationships with the brands has been critical to our success. Without the support of the parent brands and Nike, Tom's and Timbuktu, you know, we might not have even, you know, got through this period. So many things that you learn. Again, hopefully we'll never have to repeat it, but I think we're going to come out of it, I think, bigger and stronger as a team.
RPG have 52 stores in Australia. About 80% of them are in shopping centres and others are in high streets.
Correct.
Church Street, Brighton, Little Collins Street in the CBD and others.
Yes.
How has the performance been for you generally, and what's your projection for the future? Are you looking for more strip stores, high street stores, or centres?
In terms of the comparison between our strip stores and our mall-based stores is we found that they traded very differently going into COVID. So that sort of mid-March, end March period, we found that our high street stores actually outperformed our mall-based stores. And I think that's because consumers felt more comfortable being outdoors, shopping outdoors, going to their local shop versus the mall. So we certainly found that trend coming into COVID.
What's your views on rents and incentives moving into the next 2 years?
My view on the rent and incentives, I think that, you know, we've had support from many of our landlords to help us through this, what you call a re-establishment phase. that no one knows what it is. No one's got a crystal ball to work out whether or not is this going to be 3 months, 6 months, 12 months sort of recovery. So we've had various landlords support us with rental assistance to enable us to sort of essentially navigate through this period and almost share in that sort of particular period that we've got coming up. They will be important for many retailers, and most retailers, is to have those sort of incentives. And I think overall, if you're a retailer that has a lot of stores, for example, on holdover, or you've got stores coming up to lease renewal, I think those stores in particular, the spotlight will be on those stores, and I think many retailers will have to make hard decisions on whether or not they continue with those stores. And if they do, I suspect that the landlords will be very supportive in encouraging retailers to hang on to those stores, and that might come in the way of overall better rent deals.
Advice to retailers going into the next recovery phase?
My advice for retailers going through this next period is, first and foremost, stay very connected to your customer. Communicate with them. Keep them engaged as best as you possibly can without bombarding them, and that's a fine balance. Your team members, your employees are critical to your success. You've got to make sure you keep your team members feeling safe and secure through this period, because it's still very uncertain for many of our team members. So making sure you've got all the right health and safety measures in place, because I suspect this will be going on for some time still. So take care of your teammates, protect them, ensure that they've got the confidence to show up to work each day and feel that as an employer there's a duty of care there. And then ultimately, cash flow management is critical.
For all those leasing execs, agents, and landlords watching this, what's your advice on the best way to engage with retailers like yourselves when showing them retail space to lease?
Well, look, I think it's also, I think what's very important here is that there's got to be aligned objectives. So, clearly we're a retailer that believes in bricks and mortar. We always have, we always will. So that's important for our growth strategy, is stores, physical stores. Now, in our case, we always want the best spaces. And a brand like Nike should command that. So it's being able to partner and understand that we sort of need each other here. I guess without each other, there is no future. So it's how do we work together and find that middle ground where it's a win-win on both sides here. I don't think that that retailers are out there trying to screw the landlord. And I can't imagine that's what the landlords are trying to do with the retailers. So we just got to sort of, work together, find what that middle ground is, because leasing agents also have got constraints, and they're public companies, and they're going to be some levers they can pull on and other levers they can't. It's how do we work together, find what that middle ground is, and pave a path forward for a vibrant retail business. But it's got to come with some give and take. These relationships have been tested through this period. Some are going to come out stronger, and unfortunately some will come out weaker. But it can't just land in this COVID period. It's got to be a way forward of how we work together as true partners. We use that word partnership very loosely. We've got to be serious partners in the future success of retail.
You're at the coalface of fashion and of bricks and mortar retail, and we're constantly hearing and reading about the retail apocalypse, and retail is not going to be the same anymore. In your experience, what's your views on all those opinions and trends that we're reading about?
I've never really ever believed in the retail apocalypse.
I haven't either, for the record.
I fundamentally believe there will always be a place for retail, particularly bricks and mortar. However, the last decade we've seen extraordinary change, particularly through the online and the digital space. And I think what it means for me is that change is critical. You've got to innovate or die. I mean, but there's a lot that comes into this thing about innovation. But I think every brand, every retailer needs to look in the mirror and say, am I truly meaningful and am I truly relevant to my customer? It's almost like you've got to ask yourself that if we disappeared tomorrow, would the customer notice and would the customer care? If we can't categorically say yes to those two things, we've got a problem. We know now today that consumers, they are in control. They've got so much choice, so much than ever before. With the flick of a switch, they can buy whatever they want, wherever they want, at whatever price. So it's very competitive. So as retailers, we've got to be sharp. We're being tested and challenged each and every day as we watch our sales numbers come through. But you've got to come back to that fundamental question. It is, am I relevant? Am I meaningful?